Matrix, and welcome to yet another exciting show of Woza Matrix. Today we're doing your English Paper 1 exam guide. My name is Luni and I'll be assisting you to get all your questions through to us. All you need to do is hit us up on our social media pages, search for Woza Matrix, as well as on our WhatsApp line. I'll leave all the details for you so you know where to get us. We've got some cool competitions running, so please do stay tuned and I'll give you all of those details later on in the show. As always, I am not alone. With me are our sign language interpreter, Nicolene, as well as our awesome teacher, Seema. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Seema, over to you.
Thanks, Luni. Welcome, guys. Today we're looking at the English First Additional Language program and we're focusing on paper 1. So let's get to it. So what does paper 1 look like? The exam paper 1 consists of 80 marks. You have 2 hours to complete this paper and 3 sections in total with 5 questions. Okay, so section A, question 1, is the comprehension section, which is allocated 30 marks. In this section, you will have 2 texts that you would have to read through. The first is a worded text, a comprehension passage. The second text is usually an advert or a cartoon or a visual stimuli. And the 30 marks is based on the 2 texts, which you have to read through and analyze in order to answer the questions. Section B is question 2. And this is the summary question where you were given a text again and you would be expected to summarize into 7 points. And this question is worth 10 marks. Then we go on to section C. And section C has 3 questions within it. The first question in section C is question 3. The focus is on advertising, which is 10 marks. The second question, which is question 4, it's analyzing a cartoon, which is also 10 marks. And the last question, which is question 5, is your language and editing skills, which is 20 marks. So that's basically what the outlook of our paper looks like. And then we're going to look at a few tips in preparing for paper 1. So we need to manage our time effectively. You will find this in the rules and notes for the learner in your question paper, where you are allocated time per section. Remember, this paper is 2 hours. So section A is a 30-mark section, and you are allocated 15 minutes. You need to utilize your time so that you don't run out of time. Section B is your 10-mark question for 20 minutes, and section C is another 30-mark section for 50 minutes. So in all, we have a 2-hour paper there. So let's look at the tips for paper 1. Okay, so when preparing for paper 1, okay, use your reading time wisely. When we start with our exams, we are allocated enough time to prepare, so we are seated at least an hour before the exam paper is written. We have a 10-minute reading time. In that 10-minute reading time, you should utilize that time to skim through the paper. Remember, it's reading time, so you cannot use your pens. Make sure you scan or skim through the paper to get a sense of what the paper has on it. Then we'll read through the questions before the texts. We also read questions carefully. Remember, we are presented with many texts in paper 1. The first text is text A, which is your comprehension, and it's a comprehension passage. I would advise you to read the comprehension at least once. Thereafter, read the questions and go back to the passage and read it again. You can read it a third time for more clarity or to get a better sense of what the text is all about. Then you have your text B, which is a cartoon or an advert, and it also has questions on it in section A. So you must ensure that you read the texts and thereafter look at the questions. So if we move on, and we look at exam practice. Remember, the only way we can get better at what we're doing is through practicing. So practice answering question papers from previous years so you get a sense of what the expectation is, and work to time. Make sure you do not go over or underutilize. As much as I am saying that you should read the text more than once, you should make sure that you adhere to the time. Remember, this paper is only 2 hours. And then you also have a memo that comes with the question paper. Make sure you read through the memo so you understand what the previous question papers are all about, so you can understand what the answers are and the expected responses are. Okay, so interpreting questions in paper 1. So we encountered different types of questions in paper 1. Some are easy, straightforward, easy to understand. So those are your more simpler questions that we get right at the beginning of an actual question. And some are more challenging and require more understanding. These are your higher order questions that expect you to think a little bit more about what it is you are writing. And it expects you to go a little bit more deeper than what you find in the text to show understanding. Then, you must also understand the requirements of the question before answering it. Very often, when we read our questions, we get baffled because we don't understand what the question is asking. But if we go back to the text and we refer back to the keywords, we may be able to interpret what the response is. So we must be very careful when we are reading, especially with the comprehension section, where the questions are referring us to. We may find the answer in the text itself. Okay, so reading a text in a question more than once will allow you to better understand the question and answer it accordingly. So now we're going to look at summary skills, and summary skills is section B, question 2. So summary skills, basically, you are expected to take a text, which is our text 2. It's actually text C. And we're going to actually summarize the text based on the question provided. Now, these texts are usually smaller in size. You'll see that it's a little bit more compressed than the comprehension. And it has information in it relating to some sort of activity. It could be dieting tips. It could be how to eat a proper meal, how to sleep properly. It depends on what the focus of the text is. And basically, with a summary, we need to ensure that we summarize and we're able to take out the key points that we need. So today we're going to talk about the summary, and we're going to look at what we need for the summary. So we need to take the larger text sections of the text and reduce them to bare essentials. So basically, we're looking for the gist, the key ideas, and the main points that are worth noting and remembering as a response. So common mistakes learners make: they don't summarize the required points. This can be a huge problem because it means you're not answering the question. They are unable to sift out important points, which means they're not focusing on the task at hand. They write down more than the word count. Remember, 70 words is our maximum in this section, so we must not exceed that. They write out incomplete sentences. As much as we are requested to respond in point form, we must have complete sentences in this section. They don't write enough due to uncertainty. So learners are unable to sift out the important points. And lastly, they copy word for a word, and that's basically lifting from the text. So that means you are actually rewriting the entire text again, and again you're going to exceed your 70 words. And then there are penalties when marking is done. So, what should you do? You should read the instructions. This is very, very important. The instructions are there, and they are available, and we will present them just now. Identify the aspects of the topic that you need to summarize. Remember, the summary is usually focused, so they will ask you to summarize points of a certain aspect. Write the topic in large, bold letters so that you keep referring back to it and you remember what you have to do. at the top of your page. Remember, when you are doing the summary, you must keep referring back to the actual statement that you need to summarize, so it keeps you in line with what you are expected to do. Read and identify the topic before you read each sentence and ensure you remain focused. That's very, very important. This is 10 marks, very easy, 10 marks. Then, these are the actual instructions that you will find in your question paper at the end of the year. So, your summary must be written in point form. So, you can either note them from 1 to 7, or you can use little dots, depends on you. List the 7 points in full sentences. You must ensure you write in full sentences, do not use phrases. Okay? And again, remember we spoke about our 70 words. So because we are summarizing a text, the text has to be a certain number of words. And then, okay, you can number it from 1 to 7. That is the instruction. Right. Thereafter, write 1 point per sentence. You must make sure you don't repeat yourself or you don't say something the same way repeatedly. Let me give you a quick example. If we had a passage on a dog, I'm going to give you a very, very simple example, and we are asked to describe a dog and the qualities of the dog. And we say, the dog is black in color and the dog is dark in color. We're basically saying the same thing. So we must make sure we choose our words correctly. If we say the dog is black in color, it's more accurate, it's from the text. Remember, we will end up writing out words from the text, but not word for word. We must rephrase it and put it into our own words so that we are ultimately answering the question. Okay, so use your own words as far as possible. Try not to lift too much. You can lift a word or 2 or 3 even, but not an entire sentence. Indicate the total number of words you have used in brackets at the end. Please be honest. It's very, very important that we are honest. Don't spend too much of time counting your words repeatedly or trying to get to the 70. Remember, it's a maximum of 70 words, so you don't have to worry if you are less than 70. If you are at 65, you are still okay. Okay, so that is all we have for the first section of the summary writing, and we're going to go back to Luni, and we'll see you after the break.
Thank you so much, Seema and Nicolene. Guys, we are going to take a very short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll see you straight after this. Welcome back from the break, Matrix. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've just joined us, we are doing your exam guide to prepare you for your upcoming exams. Cool news, guys. We've got an awesome competition running. If you're someone who's constantly running out of data or airtime, this competition is just for you. Woza Matrix is bringing you the hashtag WozoWinner competition, where 2 lucky Matrix will stand a chance to win 2 gigs of data. So head on over to our Facebook page and see all the details and enter that competition. Well, without wasting any more time, let's head on back to Seema.
Thanks, Luni. And now we're going to continue with advertising. Okay, so with advertising, you need to ascertain who the target audience is. So basically, every advert is created to target a certain audience that they would like to sell a product to. We need to examine how the advert tries to get your attention. This is very, very important. If an advert doesn't get your attention, you're obviously not going to pay any attention to it, and nor will you buy the product or the service. Then we need to determine the mood of the advert and what it actually seeks to create. It's very, very important that when we analyze an advert, we look at all components of the advert. It could be the font and all of that. So we also look at the language. So the language used, it could have a bias depending on the target audience. The language also could be in a hip and happening, more current language to attract the current generation. Again, it goes back to the target audience. We analyze the images used as well. Remember, we get adverts in color, we get adverts in black and white, we get adverts with different types of font, we get adverts with different types of sizes of images within it. They all put in there strategically to obviously create an effective advert. Okay, so we need to take note of how everything in the advert is spatially situated, because it is actually done so that it actually attracts the attention of the reader. So let's look at an advert with an emotional appeal. So the emotional appeal is where it obviously appeals to your emotion. And there are many, many different things we can look at when we talk about emotional appeal. So when we look at emotional appeal, very often people are very troubled by the way they look, or it could range from weight, it could range from the color of your skin, it could range from the whiteness of your teeth, it could range from anything that's obviously troubling you as a person. So an emotional appeal could target people that may have a problem with their teeth. Maybe you have teeth that are stained and they're not nice white pearlies. So you would like something to help you out. So let's look at our next advert. Okay, so there's our advert, White Strips Premium. We have a lady up in there, and can you see her white pearly teeth? So that is the focus of the advert, and she's smiling because she has such beautiful teeth, and she obviously wants us, that's what is the appeal, the emotional appeal to the target audience, right? And then take off 14 years in 7 days. It's also a quick fix. It can be done very, very quickly. So it's actually going to be something that somebody, if I had problems with my teeth and it was stained, I would run out and buy this product. Also, we obviously see here, it's clinically proven to remove up to 14 years of stain buildup in just 7 days. Satisfaction guaranteed. There's your punchline to say that there's a guarantee with this product. So the emotional appeal here is that it takes off 14 years in 7 days. That time frame is a very, very short time frame. It's a quick fix. It's something that people would want to get done quickly. Nobody wants to take a product that's going to take on forever to get to where you want it to go to. And then obviously the expert opinion, it means that it's clinically tested, and it's basically what you see is what you get. The product is value for money. It is going to do what is expected and what it advertises, because there's a guarantee even. So this is the emotional appeal. It will appeal to you if you have a problem with your teeth, obviously, and you would like to have nice white pearly teeth. Then, if we look at words such as luxury, beautiful, paradise, economical, all these words attract us. Some of us want luxuries like cars and these extravagant new high-tech watches. Then beautiful. Everyone wants to look beautiful today, so those are all your beauty products and a whole range of other things. Paradise, everybody wants to go on a holiday to a place that looks like a paradise. And economical, something that doesn't put a dent in your pocket, something that you can actually afford. So affordability, those are things that appeal to people who are struggling but want finer things in life, right? So these words are used to provoke positive feelings, right, in the viewer. The viewer here is the target audience. So it's aimed at a specific target. So if we go on and we look, there is a nice little car, a Lexus. It says happiness is measured in miles. And I mean, who wouldn't want to drive a car like this? Then if we go on, all the fun you can handle. There's a couple, very happy, at the beach, enjoying themselves. These are just very basic adverts to show you how the emotional appeal works. And then Walmart, always low prices, always, right? So they're reinforcing that their prices are low. Okay, let's look at the questions. So question 1, who is the target audience? Okay, if you remember, when we started, we spoke about the target audience. Obviously, the advert is created at a target audience in mind. So it's targeting a specific individual. So in this case, we have a Kellogg's box, and there's a hyperactive girl who's got the Kellogg's box, which she is playing with like it is a guitar, showing that she's full of energy and full of life, and obviously it implies that because she ate the Kellogg's, she is full of energy and it's given her the extra edge that she needs. So the target audience for this question would obviously be a teenager or a child that's looking for more energy in the mornings, or a parent who wants what's best for his or her child. So let's go on to the second question. And here we are referring to the headline. So before we read the question, let's look at the headline. The headline is up here. Okay, start your grade. Go back to our question. Refer to the headline. Why does the advertiser use the visual instead of the letter U in the word your? Let's go back to our visual, and we are actually looking at this specifically. So if you look here, there's a little bowl with a spoon in it, and instead of a U, we actually have a bowl. So that is an advertising technique, and the advertiser has basically used the visual instead of the letter U to actually get you into focus with a bowl of cereal. So now we're going to look at question 3. How do the visuals below the headline support the message of the advertisement? So let's go back, and now we are looking at visuals. So we're looking at the girl. These are all our visuals, okay? So we're looking at basically the images here, and the question is, how do the visuals below the headline support the message in the advertisement? So let's go back. The visual is a mural or a drawing of a young girl playing a guitar, which is this one. And then if we look further, we see the cereal box there. And also the superimposed against the mural of a band playing. There's the band at the back there, this and that. There's a lady with another guitar there, and there's a little child with a drum there. And it symbolizes that the girl's potential for greatness, because she's consumed Kellogg's, so she has all this energy and she's vibrant and she can do what's expected. Okay, so that basically answers our third question, which is how do the visuals below the headline support the message of the advertisement? So let's go on to the next question, which is question 4. Okay, so write the word hoof in full. This is basically a language question, and it basically translates to who have. So the question actually reads, write the word who have in full, which is actually the answer. Okay, so that's just 1 mark there, and it's a very simple 1 mark. And then question 5. Why is Kellogg's a well-established brand according to this advertisement? So we're basically looking for information in our advert, and then if you go down here, it's not very clear, but here it says how old the product is. So Kellogg's has been in existence for 110 years. That basically tells you that it has been doing well, and obviously it provides what is expected of it. Okay, so if we go on and we look at question 6, why has the advertiser included Facebook? Everybody knows with social media, the Facebook logo in the advertisement. This is a very, very easy question, and it's also something that you should actually be familiar with. I don't know if there is any grade 12 out there that's not familiar with social media. Basically, these days, all adverts include either a Facebook handle or a Twitter handle or an Instagram handle or any social media account that gets you into a product's page where you can view the company or the products that they're advertising, and you obviously have access to all the different choices, or they get to promote their products on their web pages or their social media websites. Okay, so let's go again. So why has the advertiser included the Facebook logo in the advertisement? And we've answered that question. It allows the reader to acquire more information on the product. So the last question now, does this advertisement succeed in convincing the reader to purchase the advertised product? Substantiate your answer. This is a key question, 2 marks. It's an opinion question. So basically, it's either yes or no. Does the advertiser succeed? Yes, he does, and obviously you have to provide a list of reasons why you say yes, and if it's no, then obviously we'll have to look at reasons why we don't agree with this. And obviously when it says substantiate your answer, you have to go back to the advert and look for information from the advert. So, Luni, that's all we have for advertising for now.
Thank you, Seema. So guys, we are going to take a break, but before we do, don't forget to follow us on our social media pages, Woza Matrix, as well as hit us up on our WhatsApp line and just let us know what you guys are getting up to in terms of preparing for your exams. If you have any questions, send those through as well. And let's get to talking. If you're feeling stressed, let's see how we can help each other get through this phase of the year that's hectic and full of stress for the last final exam for you guys. So with that said, let's take a quick break, go get some refreshments, and we'll see you straight after these. Welcome back from the break, Matrix. Thank you so much for joining us. We are still assisting you to prepare for your upcoming exam. We are still having that competition, 2 gigs of data for 2 lucky Matrix. So check out the details and enter. Well, I'm not going to waste any more time. Over to Seema.
Thanks, Luni. And now we're going to go straight to cartoons. So let's look at cartoons and what we need to know and basically remember when we are analyzing cartoons. So, the body language, okay? This seems to be a problem area where we're unable to identify body language. You need to look at how a character's body is positioned, okay? So basically, when we look at body language, you must be very observant when you speak to people, okay? There are different types of things that you can observe, non-verbal communication, which is our body language. So we can look at a person could be smiling, and then we know, yes, that person is happy. A person could be frowning, and then we know that person's angry. So obviously it depends on the position of your eyebrows, it could depend on the way your face moves, it could depend on the tears if you're crying. You know, your facial expressions, your body language, all of that will be coupled in to basically give you some sort of indication as to what it is the character in the cartoon is obviously communicating to you without using words. So that's basically what we're looking at when we're looking at body language. So when we look at the closeness and the spaces between characters, that also determines, you know, and changes from frame to frame. The facial expressions, which is what we just spoke about in terms of their happiness, crying. You look at the eyebrows to also give you an indication of whether they're frowning or whatever the case is. So their eyes. Okay, so I know the dramatic people in our lives generally speak with their emotions, their facial expressions. I'm one of those people. If I am happy, you will see it on my face, and I'll be smiling all the time. If I am angry and I am sad, trust me, I won't even have to say anything, you would run for the hills. So it will all depend on what my face looks like. So when we go back here and we look at your eyes, so how do the eyes move? Sometimes the frame, you look at the eyes. If I am annoyed, now I'm going to take you back to your social networking and social media smileys or emoticons that you use. Remember, you have the one with the eyes rolling back. So that is normally a smiley you would use if you are frustrated or annoyed or irritated with what is being said. Okay? Then there's a happy smiley. That obviously if somebody says something and you don't want to respond with an okay, you put it in a happy smiley. So just think about that when you think about facial expressions. Those smileys give you a nice idea of how a facial expression actually works, right? Now, if we look at how the characters connect with each other, with non-bodily things, for example, there could be pens, cigarettes, spectacles, clothing. So there are other aspects that you can look at over and above the characters in a cartoon. The breathing, sometimes it's very noticeable. There are other less noticeable aspects, which are the physical effects. For example, the heartbeat. Now, we've all seen Tom and Jerry at some point. I hope I'm not out of my generation here. But Tom and Jerry, you know, Jerry's the cat. No, sorry, Tom is the cat. And Tom, when he falls in love, and you see Tom running around, Tom always has his heart pumping out. So think about that. Sometimes in a cartoon, if it's a cartoon about love, and there could be this man that's obviously gaga over this lady, he could have hearts in his eyes, his heart could be sticking out of his body. It's just a little visual something to say that there's romance in the air. So we need to look at all these things when we're analyzing cartoons. So, our heartbeat and perspiration. So why would we perspire, you might ask? So if I'm nervous about something, or I'm troubled about something, or I am in trouble, we generally break out in a sweat, we perspire, or it depends on the circumstances. So obviously we'll have to look at it in the context of the cartoon. So let's go on. Now I have a picture here of the same guy doing different movements. The first one, when we're normally doing this, we're obviously saying everything is okay, there's no issues, it's fine. Then the thumbs up could also be the same thing. But when we're doing this, we generally mean we're looking at somebody, we're observing, we're listening, we're quiet, we're paying attention. So we're obviously not responding. So this is a non-verbal communication where we just stand still and we are listening. Then we have this. This could mean that the person is actually absorbing what is being said. Here, he could be reaching out to touch someone, and this could be disbelief. The person could not understand or could be mesmerized by what you're saying and could not believe what you're actually saying. Then there's this obviously bored paying attention, another bored paying attention maybe, and this guy's picking his nose, and no, we don't usually get those. And then we have this guy here who's obviously very worried, as you can see from his posture and the way his hand is on his head. This guy obviously wants some attention, and he's raising his hands so that you can actually notice that he's trying to say something, and again, all is well in the last one. So, there are other examples that we need to look at when we're dealing with body language. The head tilted to one side. The head tilted to one side demonstrates that the person is listening, okay, keenly, okay, or is interested in what is being communicated. So the head tilted to one side is actually a very important indication that the person is very, very interested in what the person is saying. So standing straight with the shoulders back, this position shows that the person is feeling confident, okay? So they're not slouching, they're standing firm and straight. It is often accompanied with the walking at a brisk stride. So brisk means that you're obviously walking at a natural pace, there's no hurry. Your stance, you should feel relaxed, yet tall and not rigid. Okay. Nail biting. How many of you bite your nails? And when do you bite your nails? Well, I must tell you, I used to do that a lot when I was little, and I've stopped. But I bite my nails when I am nervous, or I am troubled, or I'm anxious. So biting nails, if you see a character in a cartoon and the character is biting his or her nails, it could mean that that character is troubled, or anxious, or worried about something that obviously is going to come up. So let's look at our definitions here. Nail biting is a type of habit that can demonstrate stress, nervousness, or insecurity. Oftentimes, people bite their nails without even realizing it. So it's a coping mechanism for some people. Then we have head in the hands. So if you are the shy type and you're talking to somebody, again, remember you're smiley. If somebody gives you a compliment and you don't know how to say thank you, you just smile in your hands or you blush away, and that's basically what we're talking about here. So if we look at the head in the hands move can demonstrate boredom as well, or it might show that the person is upset or ashamed, or not wanting to show their names. Well, that was obviously depending on what the circumstances were. If they were ashamed, it's obviously dependent on the context of the cartoon. Maybe it wasn't a compliment. Okay, so let's go on and look at an exam question. This cartoon appeared in the 2019 November NSC exams in the English First Additional Language paper. So I'm going to very quickly look through the frames. In frame 1, the mother is questioning the boy. Now, where did I put my phone? And then in frame 2, why did I just come in here? Frame 3, did I forget what I was going to ask? Frame 4, have you seen my glasses anywhere? Frame 5, thank you. And by the way, frame 6, you still haven't given me the change from $20 you took out of my purse 2 weeks ago to buy milk on your way home from Sarah's house. And the boy with a thought bubble, that she remembers. So if we think about this cartoon, and there's the mom going into every room, which is typical. I've done this many a times. I walk into a room and I forget what I went in for, or I forget very easily what I was doing. And this is something, unfortunately, that comes as we grow older. We generally have to adapt to this way. But this boy is also a bit baffled that she can't find her glasses and she can't do this and she can't do that and she doesn't remember simple things. Yet, she remembers that he forgot to return the change from something that he had purchased a week or so ago. So it's very interesting to see what our questions are all about. So let's go to our questions. Describe the woman's body language in frame 1. So we're going to look at the word describe. The word describe means give detail or a graphic account. This is a very, very easy question. It's basically asking you to tell us what do you see in frame 1. It's telling you to describe the mother. So you need to go to frame 1, look at the mum, and describe how the mum appears. So let's go to frame 1. Okay, so frame 1, she has her hand on her hip. She's scratching her head. Her finger is on her head. Her eyes are wide opened. Her head is turned to the left. So any of these two sentences would give you 2 marks. Okay, so let's look at it. There she is. She's got her hand on her head. She's looking puzzled. The hand on the hip. And basically we're describing her eyes, her face, and how she actually looks. Okay, then question 2. What is Jeremy doing in frame 2? So the answer here is he is relaxing on his bed. He is reading a book. It's only 1 mark, so you could have had either or, and you would receive 1 mark for this question. So let's look at frame 2. There's Jeremy here. So yes, he is on his bed. This does look like a book here. So he was obviously reading before he was interrupted by his mum. And there, I think that's a pillow, and there's an untidy teenager's room with laundry, and Jeremy is on his bed reading, which is accurate. Okay. Then we look at question 2. Suggest 2 reasons for Jeremy's silence in the cartoon. Now, Jeremy does not speak throughout this cartoon. At the end, in the last frame, in frame 6, those are not spoken words. Those are actually the speech bubble indicating that Jeremy is thinking that. So he hasn't said it out aloud. If I was Jeremy's mom, I would be very upset if Jeremy said that out aloud. So let's go back and look. So, suggest. What does suggest mean? Suggest means give possible reasons, analyze, interpret, and evaluate. So let's look at it. The answers. He is too engaged in his own activities to care about what his mother is saying, or he interprets his mother's questions as rhetorical. You know what is a rhetorical question? A rhetorical question means it doesn't require an answer. Because he knows that she will eventually remember. So obviously this is something his mother does often. So she will find what she is looking for, or this means that any of these answers are valid for 2 marks, right? Jeremy's mother does all the talking and does not give him an opportunity to speak. So that would also be a valid answer for this question to suggest why Jeremy is silent in this cartoon. Okay, so if we go now to question 4. Do you think the cartoonist succeeds in creating the humor in frame 6? Substantiate your answer. Here, basically what we do is we look at, yes, we agree, or no, we don't agree. Remember, it's asking you very clearly, do you think the cartoonist succeeds in creating humor? So we are looking at something that's funny in frame 6, and it's referring us specifically to one frame. So we must make sure when we are answering, we are talking to humor, and we are speaking to frame 6 for 2 marks. And it says substantiate your answer, which means that we must also give you information from the frame 6. Okay, so let's look at the cartoon and look at frame 6 again. This is frame 6. So, in frame 6, the mother basically says, you still haven't given me the change from the $20 you took out of my purse 2 weeks ago to buy milk on your way home from Sarah's house. And obviously there's your little thought bubble there, and Jeremy says that she remembers. Obviously he's quite upset that his mother remembered that he owed her the change. So your responses could include a yes response. So in frame 1 to 5, the woman displays signs of forgetfulness. However, in frame 6, her memory is astute. It means that suddenly she remembers things. Right? She remembers that Jeremy had not returned her change, so obviously now she is concerned about her money, and the mother's detailed recollection contrasts with her earlier memory. So it's a contrast of where she was always forgetful and suddenly she remembers. Then you could also have a no response. Remember, you either agree or disagree. It's a do you think question. There is no humor. So if you think that there was no humor in frame 6, you could say yes, there is no humor. The woman's request for her change from Jeremy, as the money belongs to her. So she's basically asking back for the money that belongs to her. Furthermore, it's Jeremy who assists his mother by telling her where her glasses are. And however, her attitude towards him in frame 6 is harsh and demanding. So basically, you could have either a yes or a no response in this regard. And obviously, you obviously have to substantiate it with evidence from frame 6. So it means you have to go back to frame 6 and look at the options that are available to substantiate or agree with whatever you are saying. So, now, this is basically what we have from the question paper. And now we're going to go on to our English file paper 1 tips. Okay. So again, I'm going to remind you to please manage your time effectively. Ensure you utilize your 10 minutes of reading time. It is very important to read all texts and questions at least 2 to 3 times for a better understanding before rushing to answer. Remember, guys, you only have 2 hours. Utilize these 2 hours. Do not rush. Do not aim to finish the question paper before the 2 hours. Utilize a spread of time so that you are actually able to answer your question paper in the 2 hours allocated by reading, understanding, and making sure you are answering the question based on your understanding of the text. Thank you, guys, and all the best.
Thank you so much for that, Seema. That was an amazing show. We do appreciate all the tips, all the tricks that you've provided the matrix. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in as well. You've been amazing on our social media platforms. A big congrats to all of the winners for the 2 gigs of data. Those will be announced on the Facebook page, so do check that out. We'll also be back with more revision, so check out our schedule on www.wozamatrix.co.za, and then you'll know when to catch your favorite subjects. Well then, from me, Looney, Nicolene, and Seema, it's a thank you and goodbye.